Right. Let's dive into something really cool today. Monoprinting.
Oh, nice.
Ever wanted to make, like prints, but without a printing press?
Yeah.
That's what monoprinting is all about. And we've got this great article to help us from the Irish Artmart website. It's called The Art of Monoprinting, a beginner's guide to creating unique prints.
It's funny you should mention that article. It's a great place to start. Monoprinting, it kind of gets lumped in with all these complex printmaking techniques.
Right.
But it's really its own thing. It's like,
Yeah.
imagine painting on a smooth surface.
Okay.
And then transferring that image to paper.
Okay.
So each print it's like a fingerprint.
Oh, wow.
Totally unique. Yeah.
Okay, so that's got me kind of intrigued. I mean, anyone can like slap paint on paper, right? What makes these prints so special?
Well, it's the combination of the simplicity of it
Okay.
and the element of surprise. Unlike other printmaking methods where you're working with like a predetermined design, monoprinting lets you just experiment directly on the plate.
Oh, okay.
And every stroke, every texture, every little happy accident,
Yeah.
it's all captured in that one print.
So it's like a snapshot of the creative process.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And that's why it appeals to everyone, beginners to seasoned artists.
Yeah.
It's so immediate, it's expressive,
Yeah.
and there's just so much potential for these unexpected results.
Yeah. I can see why the article calls it like the perfect technique for all skill levels.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's say I'm in my art space. I'm ready to jump in. What do I actually need to get started? Like, what are the tools of the trade here?
Well, first off, you're going to need a printing plate.
Okay.
But the cool thing is, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right.
Like a sheet of glass, a piece of plexiglass, even an old cookie sheet, one that you haven't used in years.
Hold on. A cookie sheet.
They can all work.
I can already see the possibilities. All right, so cookie sheet. What about inks or paints?
Again, lots of flexibility there.
Okay.
Water-based inks are great for beginners. They dry quickly, easy cleanup.
Right.
But if you're looking for something with richer colors, more texture, you might want to try acrylics or even oil-based inks.
So many choices. It's like a candy store for artists.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got my plate, I've got my inks. How do I actually transfer the image to paper?
You'll need a brayer for that.
A brayer.
It's basically a roller. Helps you spread the ink nice and evenly on the plate.
Okay.
Then you lay your paper on top and it picks up that inked image beautifully.
Oh, cool.
And speaking of paper, the article mentions some interesting options like rice paper.
Oh, nice.
Which has a lovely, delicate texture.
Right, okay. I'm visualizing this now. Ink spread on the plate, paper gently pressed on top. But what about the design itself? Do we need to sketch it out beforehand, or is it more, like a free-flowing process?
That's the beauty of it. You can do whatever you want.
Oh, awesome. You can sketch your design directly on the plate. You can just start applying ink, see where it takes you.
Oh, wow. So brushes, sponges, even like those textured fabrics we were talking about.
Absolutely. One of the things that makes monoprinting so unique is the texture.
Right.
You can press leaves into the ink, use a comb to create lines, or even drag a piece of string across the surface. It's all about exploring and finding what works for you.
Oh, this is so cool. I'm picturing all these textures coming to life on the paper. Okay. Let's say I've created my masterpiece on the plate. Ink is spread. Paper is in place. What's next?
Time for the big reveal.
Oh, wow.
Carefully peel back the paper, and there you have it, your monoprint. And here's where it gets really interesting. Even with a carefully planned design, there's always that element of surprise.
Oh, right.
Because you never know exactly how that ink is going to transfer.
So each print really is one of a kind.
Exactly.
It's like a little piece of art history. Frozen in time. Okay, but before we get too carried away, let's walk through the actual process, step by step. Sure, so first, protect your workspace.
Right.
Monoprinting can get messy.
Yeah, it can.
So, lay down some newspaper or a drop cloth.
Okay.
All right, then squeeze a bit of ink onto your printing plate.
Okay.
And use the brayer to spread it out. Nice, smooth, even layer.
Got it. Okay, picture this. We're in our creative space, inks are spread, we're ready to create. What are some cool techniques we can try? I'm thinking beyond just basic brush strokes here.
Well, let's talk about subtractive monoprinting.
Okay, subtractive monoprinting.
Yeah. Imagine starting with a fully inked plate.
Okay.
And then using tools to actually remove ink.
Ooh.
to create your design through negative space.
Oh, that's a cool concept.
So you could use cotton swabs, a palette knife, even your fingers to lift away that ink, reveal the image underneath.
So it's like you're carving it out instead of adding to it.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. And I'm guessing that would create some really unique textures too, right?
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, what else? What else can we try?
If you're feeling adventurous, you can try what's called ghost printing.
Ooh, ghost printing. Sounds spooky.
So after you pull your first print,
Okay.
there's often a little bit of ink left on the plate.
Oh, yeah?
You lay down another sheet of paper, and you can create a second, fainter print.
Oh, wow.
It's like capturing the echo of the original image.
So you get 2 prints for the price of 1.
Pretty much, yeah.
But each one with its own distinct, like, character. Oh, this is so cool. This is so much more than just putting paint on paper.
It really is.
There's real depth to this technique.
Absolutely. And we haven't even touched on the possibilities of combining monoprinting with other art forms like collage or drawing.
Oh, wow.
But we'll save that for later.
All right, so I'm already itching to try this out. But before we jump into part 2, I think it's important to remember what makes monoprinting so special.
It's the creative freedom, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Just the ability to experiment,
Yeah.
to make mistakes, to
Yeah.
discover new ways of working. And at the end of it all, you have this truly unique piece of art
Yeah.
that reflects your personal style and your creative journey.
Right. It's so personal, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the beauty of it. It's a process of discovery and a celebration of the unique.
absolutely. It's funny you should say a process of discovery.
Yeah.
Because it really is like a journey.
Oh, yeah.
Every print is a step along the path.
Right.
And even those mistakes,
Yeah.
they can lead to exciting discoveries.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true.
It is.
And I think so many people get intimidated by art in general
Right.
because they're so afraid of messing up.
Totally.
But with this,
Yeah.
those mess-ups can become the most interesting parts.
Exactly.
That work.
It encourages you to like let go of that need for perfection.
Yeah.
And embrace the unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, and speaking of letting go, the article mentions something that I think is so important for anyone starting out with monoprinting. Don't be afraid to experiment with different materials.
Yes.
Like we talked about using those textured fabrics
Right.
and the leaves.
Yeah.
But the article also mentions things like found objects,
Okay.
like bubble wrap, or even pieces of lace.
Oh, wow.
The possibilities are endless.
I love that.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's where the fun begins, right?
Right.
Think about all the textures you encounter every day.
Yeah.
An old toothbrush, a crumpled piece of paper,
Yeah?
the bottom of a shoe.
Oh, my gosh.
They can all become tools for creating these unique marks and textures in your prints.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm picturing using like an old credit card
Yeah.
to scrape away ink and create like these cool layered effects.
Exactly.
This is turning into a scavenger hunt for interesting textures.
It is. It is.
Oh,
That's the spirit of monoprinting, right?
yes.
Just pushing those boundaries and seeing what happens
Yeah.
when you combine different materials and techniques.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about textures.
We have...
What about the role of color in all this?
Oh, color.
Yeah.
It can be just as expressive, right?
It can be, yeah. And the article gives some good tips
Okay.
on color mixing and layering.
Okay.
You know, you can create those subtle blends
Yeah.
or bold contrasts,
Right.
depending on what you're going for.
So if I lay down a base of, like, yellow
Yeah.
and then add some blue on top,
Uh-huh.
could I end up with green in the final print?
That's the idea.
That's so cool.
It is, and you can experiment with layering the colors in different ways.
Okay.
You can use multiple brayers,
Right.
each loaded with a different color.
Okay.
Or you can just apply the colors directly to the plate
Okay.
and then blend them with your fingers.
Oh, cool.
Or a brush, it's up to you.
Oh my gosh, this is like alchemy.
It is a little bit, isn't it?
It's like you're mixing and manipulating
Yeah.
to create something new and unexpected.
And speaking of unexpected,
Okay.
have you ever heard of viscosity printing?
Viscosity printing. Viscosity printing, yeah.
That's a new one.
It's pretty cool. So
What is it?
it's based on the idea that thicker inks will resist thinner inks. So
Okay.
you can actually create like a multi-layered image
Oh, cool.
by starting with like a thick ink, like an oil-based ink,
Okay.
and then printing over that with a thinner ink,
Oh, wow.
like a water-based ink.
Okay.
And the thinner ink will only stick to the areas where the thicker ink hasn't been applied.
So it's like creating a puzzle with inks?
It is, yeah, like a layered puzzle.
That's so
It's
cool.
really fun.
I bet that takes some practice, though.
It does. It does.
But the results would be so worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
We've been talking a lot about, like, the technical side of all this,
We have?
but I think it's important to remember that this is an art form.
Absolutely.
It's expressive.
It is.
It's a way to communicate ideas, emotions,
Yeah.
experiences through,
True.
texture,
Yeah.
color, form.
I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that I find so fascinating about monoprinting is how intuitive it is.
Right.
You're not like bound to a predetermined design.
Right.
You can just let your creativity flow
Yeah.
and see where it takes you.
It's like a conversation
Yes.
between you and the materials. You're
It's-
responding to each other.
In the moment.
Yeah.
And that's where the magic happens.
It is. It's amazing.
It really is.
What I also love about it is that it's so accessible.
It is.
Unlike some art forms where you need fancy equipment,
Yeah. Because that's,
expensive training,
yeah.
this is something that anyone can do.
Anyone can do it anywhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a fancy studio.
Nope.
You could set up a monoprinting station on your kitchen table.
Absolutely, you could.
It's so approachable
It is.
for people of all ages and backgrounds.
All ages, all backgrounds, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of accessible, I'm reminded of gel printing.
Oh, gel printing. Yeah.
It's so popular now.
Yeah.
It is. It seems like such a natural extension of all this.
It is. Yeah, it really is.
Using a gelatin plate instead of like the glass of the plexiglass.
Exactly.
Have you played around with that at all?
I have.
What do you think?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Because that gelatin plate gives you this soft,
Yeah.
pliable surface.
Right.
It's just perfect for creating really unique textures and
Right.
patterns.
Yeah.
You can just press objects right into it.
Right.
Create textures with all sorts of different tools, and you
Yeah.
can layer colors in a way that you just can't do on a hard plate.
The results are beautiful.
They're stunning.
Yeah.
You get these really beautiful layered prints
Yeah.
that have the soft, dreamlike quality.
I'm definitely adding this to my to-do list.
You should. It's so much fun.
It sounds like a great way to combine that immediacy of monoprinting
Yeah,
with the versatility of that soft, malleable surface.
absolutely. And speaking of versatility, let's go back to the article.
Okay.
It emphasizes using a variety of papers
Right.
for monoprinting.
Yeah. Yeah.
They mention rice paper, but also things like heavier printmaking paper,
Right.
even tissue paper
Oh,
where
man.
printing.
Okay.
So the type of paper you use can really have an impact
Yeah.
on the final look
Oh, for sure.
of the print.
Yeah. So a rougher paper would create a more textured print.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then a smoother paper would be cleaner, more detailed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to try some unconventional papers too.
Like what?
Things like wrapping paper
Oh, fun.
or even pages from old books.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you might be surprised by the results.
I love that.
It's all about looking at everyday materials with a fresh perspective
Right.
and just seeing the possibilities
Yeah.
for art making.
I love that.
It's a constant invitation
Yeah.
to experiment and discover.
That's what keeps it exciting.
It does.
It really does.
It's a technique that never gets old. Yeah.
Because there's always something new to learn, something new to try.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive into monoprinting, I'm struck by how much this technique has in common with life itself.
Oh, I like that. Tell me more.
Well, it's all about embracing the unexpected, right?
Yeah.
Just like in life, you never know exactly how things are going to turn out.
Right.
With monoprinting, you start with an idea, but the final result is always a surprise.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it so appealing. It's a process of letting go of control and embracing the beauty of the unknown.
And just like in life, those unexpected twists and turns can lead to the most beautiful outcomes.
Absolutely. Some of my most cherished monoprints are the ones that came about through happy accidents.
Yeah.
A smudge of ink, a misplaced texture, just a moment of serendipity that transformed the image into something completely new.
It's like those moments in life where something unexpected happens and it ends up changing your path for the better.
It's a reminder to stay open to possibilities and just embrace the journey.
Speaking of journeys, I think it's important to acknowledge that mastering monoprinting takes time and practice.
Right.
Just like any skill, it requires patience, experimentation, and a willingness to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. It's not about creating a perfect print every time.
Right.
It's about enjoying the process of discovery, pushing yourself to try new things.
And that's where the real growth happens. When you step outside of your comfort zone and allow yourself to make those mistakes, you learn so much more about the technique and about yourself as an artist.
So for those listening who are feeling a bit intimidated by the prospect of monoprinting, what advice would you give them to help them get started?
I would say start simple. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just gather a few basic materials,
Mm.
a plate, some ink, a brayer, and some paper. And just start experimenting.
Right.
See what happens when you press different objects into the ink. Play with colors and textures. Don't be afraid to make a mess.
That's great advice. And I think it's important to remember that there are so many resources available now
Oh,
to
yeah.
help people along the way.
Totally.
We've already mentioned the Irish Artmart website, which is a fantastic source of information and inspiration.
It is.
But there are also, countless videos and tutorials, online communities
Yeah,
where you can connect with other monoprinting enthusiasts and learn from their experiences.
absolutely. It's amazing how technology has made it so much easier to connect with other artists and share knowledge and inspiration.
Right.
And that sense of community can be so valuable, especially when you're first starting out.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
It's like having a global network of mentors and collaborators at your fingertips.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And speaking of collaboration, have you ever experimented with collaborative monoprinting, where two or more artists work together on the same plate?
I have.
What's it like?
It's an incredible experience. It's like a dance between artists where you're responding to each other's marks and ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, creating something truly unique and unexpected.
That sounds amazing. It's like a visual conversation.
Exactly. And it's a great way to break out of your own creative habits and see things from a different perspective.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what final thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with about the magic and allure of monoprinting?
I would say that monoprinting is a technique that offers endless possibilities.
Yeah.
It's a gateway to creativity and self-expression, a way to connect with your inner artist and discover the joy of making something truly unique.
Beautifully said. And remember, listeners, the world is your canvas when it comes to monoprinting. So go forth, experiment, explore, and create your own masterpieces.
And don't forget to share your creations with the world. Let's spread the joy of monoprinting.
Thanks for joining us on this colorful adventure, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep embracing the unexpected.